These days, an EMP or a cyber attack and the potential long-term blackout that could follow are real concerns that people like you and I are worried about today. Questions like how can we keep our household running, or how will our community continue to function if the grid goes down long term? Many people feel anxious or start to panic at the thought of questions like these. But in today's video, I want to show you some readily available and relatively inexpensive products that you can lean on to keep your household and your community going in the event of a long-term blackout. If you're new here, my name is Jeff, and as someone who's committed their life to serving others, it's my heart that none should perish. The main goal of this channel is to help everyday families thrive in unexpected situations where they might otherwise barely survive without the proper knowledge and preparations. If you find this content helpful, please like and subscribe, and if you're new to emergency preparedness, click the link in the description box and get the free downloadable Evac-Pack guide. Today's topic is one that can generate a lot of fear for people, and based on your response to my previous video, it really does seem to be on everyone's mind these days. So let's put your mind at ease and show you how you can keep going amidst an EMP or a cyber attack, or anything else for that matter, that could cause the lights to go out indefinitely. The first thing I want to talk about is fire extinguishers. At this point, we're a few weeks, maybe a month into the lights being out, and they're probably not coming back on. With that, all of your emergency services are either shut down or completely overwhelmed, and if you need help, it's probably not coming. One of the things that's really important is having a way to be able to put out a fire, especially because a lot of the things we're going to be talking about today are going to be involving using fire. Having a portable fire extinguisher or several of those on hand, having a rechargeable water extinguisher, which is rechargeable by air pressure. You could actually use a bike pump to pump it up. Having a backpack sprayer that you can just dump water in and be able to use if there's a small grass fire that might be threatening you or your family or your home. The next thing I want to mention is having a heat source that you can use safely indoors. Now, you may have a propane powered heat source, but if everything is down and all services aren't replenishing, fuel trucks aren't coming in, might not do you much good after the first few weeks, especially if it's really cold and you've been having to use that heater a lot. Having a more sustainable wood heat source, or maybe an oil heat source, those things can last you a lot longer. Go gather some wood, some sticks, or if you needed to just find some waste oil that you could burn, or even common household vegetable oil. There's some really great DIY heaters that you can make that don't take any special tools. They use common household items. They can provide heat and a way to cook in the event that the power is out long term. Another thing that I want to mention that goes along with those wood source heaters is a non-electric powered heater fan. They just sit on top of your stove and the heat naturally radiates through them and causes them to go, blowing and circulating the heat throughout your house and the room. I mentioned cooking, so having a way to be able to cook when resources are scarce, that's also really important. You want to be efficient and effective. Something that would be great to have is a small pressure cooker, or possibly even a pressure canner, because we're talking about cooking and potentially preserving food long term. We don't have power to run refrigerators, a way to keep food stable. Being able to prepare meals quickly and easily, it's so effective using a pressure cooker. And along with having a pressure canner that you can put on an open flame, make sure you've got the canning supplies on hand as well. So mason jars, the lids, the rings for those, a way to clean them. There's some really important things just to add into your preparations. When the supply chain is completely broken, being able to go to the store just to grab batteries for your lights, that's not going to happen. And I know a lot of you mentioned that you've got solar generators, but there are some events, believe it or not, that could knock those solar generators out. They're not going to turn back on the next day. So having a kerosene lantern or other similar oil lanterns, those are really good sources of light and a little bit of heat. I was just using mine a few minutes ago and I could feel the heat radiating off the top of that lantern, and it was lasting for quite a while. If you had a few of those around in your house, it's going to help keep the temperature up along with providing some light so you can keep going when it starts to get dark. The next thing on my list are manual kitchen gadgets for food preparation and processing. Things like a manual coffee grinder, a manual flour mill, manual meat grinder, or a manual pasta maker. Having a whisk or manual egg beater, and a knife sharpener, or a mortar and pestle. All of these things are going to help you prepare food, to preserve your food, cook your food. Those are some really essential tools that you want to have on hand in the event that the power is not coming back on. In addition to the tools you would use in the kitchen, you also need to have manual tools that you would use outside, and some of the basic hardware to go with those, like screws, nails, nuts, and bolts. The big thing is you want to be able to repair things, you want to be able to build things, and you want to be able to grow things. Having things like wrenches and pliers, screwdrivers, hammers, saws, hand hand drills, bolt cutters. Yes, I said bolt cutters because you might need that master key to get into something that you've lost the key for. A pry bar or a crowbar, an axe and a splitting maul and a wedge, maybe a sledgehammer. And then don't forget shovels and gardening tools, maybe even a post hole digger or a high lift jack. All of those tools can come in really handy when you're trying to build something, make something, or grow something. In today's day and age of having e-bikes and all these different electric powered devices and gadgets to get us from point A to point B, bikes are kind of becoming a thing of the past. But that's actually one of the things that you really should have on hand in the event that the grid goes down, because you might need a way to be able to travel from point A to point B, or to go get water, resources, firewood, and you might not have any more gas for your vehicle. So you're saving that for a really bad situation if you have to get out of town. Having bikes and maybe even a wagon or a bicycle trailer that you can pull along with your bike, or just walk along as you're gathering firewood, or if you're carrying buckets back from getting water, those can get pretty heavy. And if you've got to travel a little bit of distance, it might be really hard to carry buckets or firewood all the way back to your house. Those are some tools that will make your life a whole lot easier when you're gathering the wood and the water that's necessary to get through the next day. I almost forgot to mention, but if you've got a bike, you probably need some tools to maintain it. Maybe a bike pump, some tire patches, or if you're really going to go for it, get the solid tubes that go in the tires, and then you don't get flats. That's kind of what I'm trying to work on. Having regular household chlorine bleach on hand. That's something that you can use just a few little drops in your water, and it will disinfect it. It will kill any kind of bacteria or germs that makes it potable for you to drink. Now, there are some recipes that you would want to follow. You can easily look those up online. Find a good source, print those out so that you have them on hand and you know the proper ratio of bleach to water so that you can make it drinkable. You want to make sure it's the unscented kind, just an FYI. Additionally, it can be used as a disinfectant. It helps kill viruses and germs and bacteria that could be throughout your house, or if people are getting sick. It also is good for helping clean up if you've got blood or contamination, or perhaps from hunting and you need to clean up the blood afterwards. A couple of gallons will go a long ways in a really bad situation. This next one might sound a little funny, but having a non-electric wood-fired still, that would be a great thing to have on hand. Put it in your garage or a storage area that you can easily get to if you need to pull it out. The reason I suggest a still is, yes, you can make alcohol for consumption or possibly bartering, but alcohol is also another great disinfectant. You can also make fuel and oil or essential oils with a still. So it allows you to take natural herbs and different things to make medicine that will help keep your family healthy and going in the event of a long-term emergency like this. I actually recall a story of a man who had survived a long time through a war. He was able to take care of his family, and he always seemed to have what he needed. Afterwards, he was asked, "How did you and your family make it through the war?" He said, "I used to make diesel. I had a still, and I figured out a way that I could capture the sap and the pitch from the trees, and I could refine it into diesel or fuel that would burn in generators. And so when people would come to me, they always knew I had a little bit of fuel. And I didn't tell them I was making it. I just always seemed to have a little bit on hand. I was able to trade and barter with that fuel for things like food, clothing, other necessities that my family needed." So having the ability to make your own alcohol that you can then trade to others might get you the things you need: beans, bullets, and band-aids. This next one is invaluable when the internet and the power's out. Having a survival library of actual hard copy books in your house, things that teach you how to DIY, how to repair, how to make medicine, how to garden, how to fix, how to build, how to hunt, different cooking recipes, different food sources, how to forage in the woods. Those are all things you can learn and read about in books that we rely on the internet most times nowadays. And it's there at the push of a button. But when the power's out, internet's out, cell phones are out, that access is cut off. So I recommend having a lot of books like these in your library. It doesn't take up a lot of space on a shelf to have those, but when you need them, if you don't have them, it's too late. So start building up your survival library. And the last thing I want to talk about today is building up a seed vault. I don't mean a vault like a safe. I just mean a collection of seeds. You can be acquiring those at grocery stores. You can acquire them at hardware stores. You can even save the seeds from local produce or produce that's organic and non-GMO. This is a great time of the year in fall where gardening has kind of come to a stop, and a lot of times you can find those seeds on clearance at your local stores. So it's a great time to stock up. I remember a couple of years ago, someone told me about a clearance sale that was going on at the local hardware store, and all of their seed packets were 10 cents a packet. packet. You better believe I scooped up a whole bunch and I've got a tote full of seeds. They're really easy to come by this time of year, and if you need them and you don't have them, that's one of those things you're going to be bartering or trying to get in a pinch, and they'll be really expensive at that point. Start building up your seed vault. I'd love to hear in the comments below if you have any other suggestions of things that maybe I didn't cover today, or maybe some different types of tools and equipment that aren't electric powered or gas powered or diesel powered that we could use in the event of a long-term power outage. So throw it in the comments below. I love hearing and reading your suggestions, and I love sharing them and being able to respond with you guys. Until then, keep practicing, keep prepping, and stay safe. American Thrivalist out.